All right, so this is actually a topic that I've wanted to actually address for a very long time now, which would be Percival having a brother. Now, if you remember way, way back to chapter 14, right around the time we really got to see Annie's like more or less her first introduction, her first being implemented into the series. There was a time when she was listening to a conversation between Ironside and her father, and Ironside was saying, how lovely she was and how he would love for her to meet his son. Now, a lot of people will take it as if you look at prior to that conversation, Annie was saying nothing Ironside says is true. He's speaking all lies. So a lot of people would say that, he was lying talking about Percival, just trying to put on airs and seem like this pleasant guy, even though he really is not. But however, me and a lot of the other, I wouldn't say a lot, me and a number, that's probably more accurate, me and a number of the Fortnite fans believe that he was talking about a completely different child, disregarding Percival entirely. Because even though Ironside is, lying a lot in this exact conversation, I don't think he would even want to stomach the idea of a Percival and actually really claiming Percival. I don't really think he fully does. So a lot of us do believe he was talking about Percival potentially having a brother. Now, the thing with this is there is a lot of grounds for this, more than I feel like a lot of people would actually believe. Now, after doing years of research it condensed into only a few days, I have went back and looked and discovered that Percival in the Arthurian lore did in fact actually have a brother. So if Nakaba wanted to play on this, he actually could. Now, how this would actually go is the story that revolves Percival and his brother is a Ferrifus. I'll put it on the screen because if you actually look at the name, it looks crazy and it looks unpronounceable. But from my understanding, it is pronounced Ferrifus. Now, the story between Percival and his brother Ferrifus is while they were both questing, they did meet each other and end up doing battle, to which they were evenly matched up until Percival did land a strike on his helmet and broke his sword and passed out. That's like the super like Spark Notes. If you remember Spark Notes, that's like the Spark Notes version of that story. To which afterwards, Ferrifus is a honorable knight, so he did not want to fight someone who was, unarmed or didn't have a weapon. So they kind of just called it quits. And through talking, they realized that they were both related, that they were half brothers, both having different moms. Now, this could totally happen in the story of Four Knights if you believe some of what Ironside said in saying, meeting his son, because it would make sense that Ironside would have another child that was raised that could be potentially older or around the same age as Percival, that was raised in this, I guess, Chaos Knight or this Arthurian regime, more or less. It would make a lot of sense that he would have a whole child that was brought up this way, and it would be a perfect foil or like a perfect, counterpart to Percival's character. Because if you look at right now, even with Percival going through everything he's going through and learning how to use his hero type magic more effectively and gaining more power, it still feels like Ironside should be a ways off. It feels like there should be a buffer in between, those two before Percival does actually end up doing battle with Ironside. Like, I feel like I feel like his brother could serve as a good in between person for him to strive for, or a good rival, because Percival doesn't necessarily have a rival in the story. I mean, you could say that Nakaba doesn't really do rivals all like that. If you look at Seven Deadly Sins, it's not like any of the main characters really necessarily had a rival. But in most shonen stories, a rival is a very popular trope that I would not want to rule out just because I wouldn't want to rule out just because Nakaba hasn't done it in a story that we've seen yet. I don't want to rule that out. Or another way that it could be a impactful thing to add to the story is if Percival, ends up converting his brother over to his side, because in the actual legends, him and his brother did become friends after they fought and, worked together to do things. But it would actually be kind of nice to see that kind of like Percival's personality able to convert one or even multiple of the Chaos Knights over to his side, to realize that he's not really that bad of a guy, that he's not really this horrible Knight of Death that they have made him out to be. Like, that would be like a dope thing to see in the story. Or even for a third way that it could be really dope is for character development. I mean, obviously this would develop character. Obviously this would develop Percival's character anyway. Just the fact that he would run into, a family member, because he doesn't necessarily have anyone. He feels very alone, seeing as the only family that he has was his granddad, who died, and Ironside, who hates him and wants to kill him. So not really much family to like actually see here. But if he did have a brother that he ended up doing battle with, and say like in the fight his brother ended up dying some kind of way, that would massively affect Percival. I don't think that Nakaba would go that far if he did introduce a brother, but just to say if he did and he did die in a fight or protecting Percival or something, I feel like that would be crazy development for him. It would be really, really hype. Some cool things about Ferrifus is that him and Percival in the actual stories are supposedly like more or less evenly matched in terms of strength. Like maybe you could say that Ferrifus was a bit stronger, but Percival was still able to edge him out. So I think it could be cool if Ferrifus had something similar to hero type magic, or had hero type magic himself. It would give Percival like a very similar opponent to himself to fight. Or if he even had like a more watered down version of Ironside's magic, that would be pretty dope too. But one of the bigger things about Ferrifus' character in the lore is that he has black and white skin. I'm not for sure if this was like the old author's way, or whoever created this character of his way of trying to make him like a biracial character. But him having patches of black and white skin could be, if Nakaba spun it, he could be a multiracial character in terms of like it could be like a part human, part demon character. We could get more of like a more hybrid characters, or you could take it even further and say like this character could be imbued with like say some chaos energy. We're getting like a little crazy here now, but it could be, say Nakaba could take it to where Ferrifus could be a character that is a human that like it's perfectly mixed with chaos energy. So kind of similar to the chaos beast that we've seen so far, he could be one of the first ones that kind of has fully mixed with it to be a human but still have tons of power of chaos within him all at the same time, to kind of play on the fact that he had different patches of skin back in the original lore. There's definitely a lot of different ways that Nakaba could really go here with this, and I would love to see it happen, because I mean, not only does the name Ferrifus sound cool, but if he did go back, because this was a long time ago. This was like chapter, what was it, chapter 14, I want to say. This was chapter 14 when this happened. So this was a long time ago. So if he planted the seeds for this, like if he planted the actual seeds for this moment to happen way back then, and we get it like chapters down the line, that would be amazing. That would be amazing foreshadowing and amazing storytelling, in my personal opinion. Now, I can't say for certain which one of these things will actually happen if he does decide to include Percival's brother Ferrifus into the story, but I feel like if he did, it would have to go one of those three kind of ways. Now, I would be mildly disappointed if Nakaba did decide to include a character by the name of Ferrifus and didn't really like do anything with him, like just had him be like some background bozo or something. I would be very disappointed if he does do that. But seeing as there are roots for it in the lore, I feel like Ferrifus will have to be a character in the story and be mildly important to Percival at the bare minimum, seeing as the information that we have now. Now, I am curious to know what you guys think about that. I know some people are like, no, Ironside was just lying the entire time. He was definitely only talking about Percival. He does not have another child. That's the only kid. I mean, which you could say that, like, you could totally say that is the case, and that even if he did have a brother, why wouldn't Percival's granddad have taken both children and only just taken Percival? Like, why would he have only taken Percival and not the other one? But I thought you could combat this with, like, say the other one was already so much indoctrinated into Arthur's way already, or there was not a way to take him to. Like, there are some explanations that you could, kind of swing here with those two. Like, because if he's that much older, like, say he's like 7 or 8 years older, he's still a child, but he's still kind of already going down that path. Or say like he was so close to Ironside and there was no chance, so he just had to swipe Percival as a baby. You could kind of swing it that way too. But there's definitely, I could definitely see people arguing it, but I do want to know what you guys think. Like, if you're all for it, this sounds great, you never really thought about it, let me know. Or if you're like, no, if you want to say no, I just want to know you guys' reasons. That's the main thing I'm curious about. If you don't think he has a brother, I would just love to know why. I would just love to know why, and we can talk about it in the comments. But aside from that, you guys all enjoy the rest of your day. Make sure you like the video as well as subscribe to the channel for more Fortnite content. Definitely got more big stuff coming up, so I do want you guys to be subscribed so you guys can check these videos out. Aside from that, you guys, like I said, enjoy your day. I'm out of here, and I'll see you all in my next video.